Welcome to the Town of Richmond meeting of the Water and Sewer Commission, June 16th, 2025. Public comments?
It's not raining.
Thank you very much, David.
What's going on now?
All right, don't spoil the good stuff here. All right, additions, deletions, or modifications to the agenda. Okay, moving right along. Minutes from June the 2nd, 2025.
Move to accept.
I'll second.
All right. Any discussion, changes, modifications?
No.
No changes. Calling for a vote on the approval of the minutes from June 2nd, 2025. Please state your vote.
David, aye.
J.I.
Bard, aye. Morgan, aye. Motion passes. Next along, I always forget. Purchase orders or warrants first.
Morgan, this is David.
Oh, we also did the annual meeting.
I was gonna say these annual meeting minutes.
Yeah, we gotta do the,
How did I miss
is
that?
that not on the?
It's not on.
Let's see,
It's
yeah,
not-
yeah, let me see, we do have the two, like,
Yeah. Morgan, this is David. I move to approve the minutes of the annual meeting.
This is
On
May
June
2nd.
3rd.
right,
Yeah.
Yeah, of June 3rd. Right? Any discussion? No discussion or changes, calling for a vote to approve the annual meeting minutes from June 3rd, 2025. Please state your vote.
This is David, aye.
J.I.
Bard, aye.
Morgan, aye. Motion passes. Thank you, David, for catching that. Purchase orders. You have two purchase orders.
Morgan, this is David. I move to approve purchase order 5181 to the Vermont League of Cities and Towns Property and Casualty Insurance for property and casualty and workers' compensation insurance for an amount billed to water and sewer, which is broken out of the
Yeah, let's show it
overall.
on the screen.
yeah, hold on.
It was J.L. second, but let's get it up there. Is there a lot of people who watch this later, believe it or not? They don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah,
Okay, so we did, this was the
So we got-
VLCT one, correct?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
We'll have to
For
look at this
clarification,
again.
this is the breakout for the
Yeah.
portion for water and sewer out of the overall town policy.
Okay, it's one invoice and admin has broken out water and sewers portion of that, which is the 11,528.79.
Yes.
So,
I seconded it.
okay. So David made a motion, Jay second. Any further discussion? No further discussion, calling for a vote on purchase order 5181. Please state your vote.
David, aye.
J.I.
Bard, aye.
Aaron, I, Morgan, I, motion passes. Purchase order number 5291.
Morgan, this is David. I move to approve purchase order 5291 to M&T Bank, Wilmington Trust, for the water tank loan payment in the amount of $37,704.86.
This is Aaron, I'll second.
Discussion? I think this is a principal payment on that loan, probably.
Yes, I moved,
So you can zoom, we might be able to read it.
yeah, it's, I think it's all listed on there, but.
Let them so people can, there we go.
We paid
Yes,
off the
it says
gap
loan-
loan.
loan
because of
through
the-
Bond bank.
We'll be paying this for a long
Okay.
time.
No further discussion, calling for a vote on purchase order number 5291. Please state how you're voting.
Aaron, I.
David, aye.
J.I.
Bard, aye.
Morgan, I, motion passes. Thank you. So we have two warrants, I think. Is that correct? Yes, and then I think they're both electronic warrants, are they?
Morgan, this is David. Move to approve.
Have a second on the warrants?
This is Aaron, I'll second the warrants.
Yep. So I think one is to, a check was paid by a customer to water and sewer. It was actually for property taxes. Oops. Yeah, that was the 1857.72. So that's just being transferred over to town for property taxes, and the other's just general admin expenses to be paid. So any further discussion? Further discussion, calling for a vote, please state how you're voting.
Aaron, I.
David, aye.
J.I.
Bard, aye.
Morgan, I motion passes. Great. Thank you. We've got the minutes, or no, we're gonna,
We did the minutes.
2 minutes,
Yep.
2 purchase orders, 1 warrant.
okay, good. Moving right along. Review of May 2025 water data. Yeah.
Looked pretty good.
Oh, wow. That 100% or 1,000%
Rock solid.
rock solid.
Good, man.
Yep.
Do you think your new unit that's putting in, is it fluoride or chlorine?
Yes.
No, we haven't even bought one yet.
Okay. Don't buy it then. No,
Well, I mean, we need to,
no, I'm
but,
just kidding.
we figured out what we have to do, so it's working right now, but
Right.
that gives us time to research and make sure we get what we want, you know. The old one's been there for 20-something years. They make better and new. Also, I wanna be able to, if in the future we go with the new mission system,
Right,
if we go to a chlorine analyzer, that the pump is capable of dosing to the analyzer. So I wanna make sure we get everything right when we buy it.
right. No,
So I'm not rushing into anything on that one. But it's working. The numbers are rock solid. We figured out what we've gotta do and, we haven't had any problems. It's been great. Even this month of June has been rock solid to, you know, so.
great, right, good news. Any comments, discussion?
Well, I just want to say well done to the staff who are
Uh,
working to keep these numbers where they should be.
Thank you, Steve and Brad. And
And Mike,
And Mike,
okay, next up, request from the town plan committee for feedback on town plan from Water and Sewer Commission. There was a memo of some sorts, or maybe it was an email included, but in.
bringing it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, November, I guess we requested feedback and I missed it, or maybe I didn't miss it and I forgot about it. But their planning commission is looking for feedback for the 2026 town plan revision. And it's just a number of things. I've done a bullet point list of things they would like comments on.
Yeah, it's quite a few, so.
I think if you click on that link,
Yep.
it comes up to the section.
There you go.
This is also for anybody watching the recording later who'd like to contribute. This is also linked in on the town website under boards and meetings. Just go to town plan steering committee under boards and meetings and it's right there.
I think it's under the utilities and facilities one.
This is what you want to see?
Mhm. I don't know that you missed it, Morgan. It was a while ago, but we had pushed it off a couple meetings.
Yeah.
Cause we had other,
We had stuff.
but it's not due until like August, but it seemed
Okay.
like it was a good.
Good, yeah. So I mean, obviously there are quite a few things they're asking for feedback, whether it's confirmation from goals and actions set for 2018. And I'm wondering at this point, do we need to form a subcommittee just to review and then present, or?
Do we want to have people respond as commissioners, but not as the board? Just
Right,
on their own?
Yeah, as far as what I saw online, and I could be wrong, is it sort of just mentioned continuing with like upkeep of buildings and basically what we're doing with the 20-year study kind of covers what they were sort of asking about, is how I sort of interpreted it, but I didn't know if I should respond as, like Jay said, a community member, commissioner, or we should.
Yeah, my sense is that this is not really something as a board we should be doing because it would be hard to it would be hard for us to distill all of our different opinions down into what fits into this form. I think it'd be best if we all give our opinion separately in the form. But That's
Okay,
just my thought. I'm not in charge of this committee.
right. I don't know, thoughts, David, thoughts? No, Bard, thoughts? Yes, Bard, please.
The only thing I'll observe, this is a topic that comes up intermittently. There's a bullet, and you actually can see it on screen right now. Extending utility services where feasible to protect public health. Arguably, the Sentinel utility service within the town is water and wastewater. And this has come up in the past of why doesn't the water and wastewater system expand into X location? So that might be worth a short conversation about what the challenges and opportunities are, including what our policy and charter direct us to do in that regard.
We should comment now, probably, or?
I think it's relevant because I think, this has come up like when the housing committee formed, why don't we extend water, wastewater? I've had conversations within the last year of how come the current customers don't expand into the gateway or expand further to support housing development, as an example.
Why should I pay out of my limited wallet for other people's water and sewer service? I mean, it just,
That's what's coming,
that's how it's currently,
structured.
where we would be billing the current customers and the future customers, but it's prohibitively expensive. The cost for one house out there along West Main Street, just one of the random regular houses was going to be $11,000 a year.
Right,
And they weren't going
Yeah.
to see if they weren't going to get a single benefit out of it.
Mhm.
Other than the sort of as the grand list expands, in theory, their taxes go down, but not $11,000 worth. There's just no way to make the numbers work. We've been hoping all along for some, angel to come along and give us a huge grant, and those angels are few and far between at this point.
well, that has been the challenge, hasn't it, that economically, no individual or small entity could make sense of paying for to extend that out there. And I think the other thing that's come up is the state is not going to put money up. The towns people are not going to pay for even loans than to pay off, because it's not a benefit, like you said, Jay. It's
Right.
not a benefit of people that are on the system right now. So
At
it's
one point, the state wanted us to put a hydrant out at the interstate. And obviously, we would have to run water out there, not necessarily sewer, but water. And then at another time, they were wanting us to move our septic receiving facility out there. And it's like, if we're gonna do that, we're gonna need to have some money to make it all work.
Who's gonna
And
do
that never came through.
right.
So alternatively to submitting our own responses, do we want to write, I don't know what you would call it, but like an update letter of like their bullet points? Almost like responses of like, this is what we
I
have
think
done, or
that-
this is
yeah.
what we've encountered, and then submit it as a board, because it's not like, it's more informational, it seems like.
Right.
And I think they do want the same goals as we as a board want overall, and Bard makes a good point that some of the things that they have as a goal, we've spent a lot of time talking about and really exploring, so maybe giving them an update of like, we're not opposed to it, but as we've explored it in the last 10 years, these are the obstacles we've hit.
It's really economic.
And also talk
Gateway projects have been there for 10 years, right?
longer than
Yeah.
that.
Longer,
And
at least 12
that's a
years.
no-go.
And another thing that it relates to the town plan and comes from us is upgrading of the water and sewer lines, which we are on track to have all the line. We have basically almost all the lines replaced,
Right.
will be replaced. So that's something that we're gonna be, right? There's not gonna be not a need to expend a lot of money running into extra lines after Tilden, Cochrane and
Bridge.
Bridge get updated.
Right. Right.
And, a lot of, on the 20-year plan, we could bring them up to date on the 20-year engineering study. We could talk about what we're doing to make the town infrastructure more flood resilient. I mean, these are a number of things,
Right.
to Aaron's point, that we could write out.
Yeah. I mean, it's I mean, they're asking for your guys' input in there.
All right, so if somebody wanted to, or if we wanted to all take a stab at it and draft our thoughts, then we could just shove it into ChatGPT and say, make this beautiful.
As long as you know how to do the chat GPT part, I'll email it to you.
Yeah, I don't know that we necessarily need to go through and fill out the survey as though we're just townspeople. I think something a little more focused on the topics
Yeah.
that we've all rattled off might be better.
Yes.
Bard, what are your thoughts on that option?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. It seems to me the way this is framed, or at least some of the bullets are framed, it sort of calls out for that, more of a structured or semi-formal response from the Water Sewer Commission. So maybe if we ask somebody to take a lead or delegate to two people to work together on a response and then bring it back for review, something like that.
I can take a stab at it, but I mean, am I allowed to then circulate it around to the commission
Well, that would
for
be,
comment?
that would be violation of public meeting law because that would be basically meeting via email outside the public
Right.
eye.
Even collecting information.
I mean, the last bullet.
Well, drafting a document via email has been people's hands slapped by the state.
So
I
what
would
it,
recommend two people consult and then bring it to the.
to the
rest.
board, yeah, that's what I was gonna say, bring it to a meeting. Cause then if Josh sends it out as a, please read it as a draft to be discussed at the next meeting,
And puts.
that's,
So that.
right, that's not violating, right? Okay.
Would that be a better approach though? I mean, I could,
Well, a couple people could just touch heads, draft a
Yeah.
structure, put it in the packet, have all of us read it, and then at the next meeting, flesh it out.
Instead of emailing it directly to the whole commission, if it goes out in the packet, then it's
Right.
public. But if we just,
Non-quorum starts it,
right,
right,
and then that
the-
non-quorum
Yeah.
passes it to Josh, who then throws it up to the meeting.
yeah.
And the people who help in drafting will double their pay for that week.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Nothing from.
I volunteer.
I mean,
Double me up.
if we're looking at under the goals. And the last two bullet points. Encouraging upgrade of customer connections within the service area.
That's those water meters we just did.
Well, it's the service lines, and a service line belongs to each customer.
right.
Mhm.
It's not really part of the town infrastructure, those belong to the customer.
Well, it's those, that's the things we have to respond to, but you're right,
Right.
is I think that we have sent correspondence to all homeowners or.
Oh, yeah.
You should look at this.
Well,
Like
all,
that,
we have a service line
An
study that
inventory.
we've done, part of the EPA required. And we do not have any lead connections. And with the upgrade of Tilden Bridge Street and Cochrane Road, we will eliminate pretty close to 90% of the unknowns that we have on our service line inventory.
Right.
So, you know, we'll be pretty concise on that. And the last bullet point, which is protecting the critical infrastructure of the water line. The water line has been upgraded, has been protected. It's the sewer line across the bridge that is vulnerable at this point. So that one's kind of mute in its own right.
Maybe that's really what they meant.
Well, it's not what they said.
That's right.
But we can, this is our opportunity to respond and say
Right.
that one's tucked
So,
right up
I
in
mean,
there.
the water line was moved over, raised up, and is well protected now. Has not been hit by anything since it's been moved up there. It is the forced main for the sewer line, and that is part of our flood mitigation problem with the pump station will be moved somewhere and protected.
Well, and the way I read all of these things were that they were sort of like the goals from the last time they did the town plan. And so it's been 10 years, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
So
some of
some
this stuff
of
has
these have
happened
been-
in that time, so I
Yeah.
think it is good to be like, we did that, we tucked it up and like.
What is asset management maintenance program?
So that is something that I'm working on right now. Asset management, basically, the state is helping a little bit, and then there's some grant money, and I've talked with Tyler about getting it. The last asset management that was done in the town, basically telling me where the water lines are, telling me where the shut-offs are, telling me where the sewer lines are. All of that, the last one that we have, comprehensive one, was done in 2010.
Was a while ago.
And there's been a lot of upgrades since then. So there's a couple of programs I've been working at taking with the state is offering, they have some grants out there. And if you participate in their training sessions, you're eligible for the grant money to set up or get a compiled. So basically, I asked Tyler, the engineer, and basically it's him compiling all the blueprints into one and making it where this valve does this does that, this is where it is. And GPS locating them more in depth than what we have with our diamond maps. It's really needed in the town. But it's something that I'm slowly working on, taking the trainings with the state, and that gets us eligible to get some grant money that in turn we can use to get this done.
So we're really, one, talking about a geographic information system, GIS, and two, we're looking at getting that data into that system.
The upgraded data that's
Okay.
not, I mean, like I said, the 2010 maps that I was left from Kendall. Some of those, when we go out to find a main, like, I'll give you an example. Bridge Street was terribly done when it was upgraded. They left the old valve bodies in place, never yanked them like they should have been followed up. So we actually have valves that are marked to close like Pleasant and Depot Street off. And they're not those valves, they're another set of valves that are up further. And if I send one of my guys out there, I'm like, I can't just say, shut this valve off or that valve. I have to physically show him, these valves don't do anything, you gotta go up street.
Bard,
I'm gonna recommend as one member that Morgan and Steve work together on the responses to these bullet points.
Sure.
thank you. I agree.
I don't.
Makes sense.
Okay,
So does that settle it? We have an action?
Sure.
we do have an action, and I leave on Saturday for 8 days, but I have time this week.
You have an extra
Okay.
week too, so
An extra, that's right. Thank you very much, Duncan.
Oh, we get a bonus week?
yeah.
Good. So,
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of stressed right now, but let me pick a day out towards the end of the week, maybe.
whatever, I'm flexible. I'm
Okay.
98% retired now, so I'm pretty flexible.
So you got time to bring back the pumpkin ale.
Yeah.
Or the coffee porter.
I like the pumpkin ale. Yeah, that was genuinely good stuff.
It was local organic pumpkins too.
I
We
do
have to
think
make
they're, I do
motion
think
on
they're
this?
looking for the responses for the end of August too. So if we didn't quite
Yeah,
make it
but
for the next
we need to
If
meeting.
you didn't make it
Yeah.
from July, I think
If you
you
didn't-
agree.
you could bring it
It's
back
nice little
for
upgrade.
the
You got a
first-
couple of weeks here.
Right.
Well, they actually were looking for it for June 11th, but
Were they?
Yeah.
Oh, never mind.
that's okay.
I lied.
We are gonna work on this. I don't think that we're the only committee in this.
I'd be
Yes.
astonished if we were.
Okay,
So I don't think we need a vote. I think
Okay.
it's an action
Yeah.
item, but.
we'll get together this week and we'll try to draft something and then.
And you guys can kick stuff around through email. You just can't do it with the whole group.
Right,
You know,
right.
like you two can
Yeah.
bounce ideas off of each other nonchalant and then bring something to Josh.
Yep.
Would it be overstepping if I responded to Chelsea's email to the two of us that we talked about it tonight and we've,
Not at all.
is that all
I
right?
appreciate that. Thank you.
That's fine.
Just so they know that we
We actually are.
maybe didn't make June 11th, but we're doing it.
Right, okay. Any other points, questions, comments? Thank you. Moving right along. Superintendent's report. You've got
Yay.
30 minutes.
Lots going on. We are working feverishly trying to get the Camel's Hump Middle School meter installed. It's been a struggle. We ended up with one plumber that we were having a hard time with, and then Camel's Hump's the guy in charge of facilities up there decided to forget that plumber, and we went to another one, and so it's moving now. The next one on the list is gonna be the church, and that's gonna be another one that we'll have to find out who their plumber is and get in contact with them. It's a large valve and it needs to be changed a little.
I don't think they have a plumber.
They must have a
James?
Everything else.
James would know.
yeah, I just
want me to
haven't stopped
message
over
him?
there because I'm trying to. These bigger valve meters are, I focus on one, get one done and go to the next. So right now, we've been working on a Camel's Hump and moving on. Other on the water side of things, we are back working on curb stops. Location and getting together a compiled where those curb stops are and dimensions for homeowners. We are skipping Tilden, we are skipping Cochrane and Bridge Street on the other side of the bridge because those will all be changed in a year, hopefully.
But the ones from like the corner to our curb stop won't change, cause are they redoing that part of the road as well, like in front of the houses in front of Stone Corral?
Yeah, those houses in front of Stone Corral need to be done now.
They're gonna do that section of the road?
Yeah, because one of those houses on that loop over there across from Stone Corral still has a galvanized service. It's
Oh.
the only one in town. And that service will be needing to be changed.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I believe we're going all the way over to where it connects back to,
Our road.
yes. Other than that, the plant is running well.
Congrats on your MacGyver skills.
We are down on our dewatering. The polymer system broke, last week. The part is 2 to 3 weeks out. I won't wait that long. We went to the hardware store and we bought $14 worth of parts. And we made the part we needed and it is working. We are dewatering. We're taking septage again. But we have ordered the part, but it'll be coming.
How old was the pump?
It was not a pump, it was actually a check valve.
Okay, but how old is, how,
It was put in when it was new, so it's over 20 years old. In the overall upgrade, I would like to see a different type of polymer system that does not use water. But in order to make this one work, and for us to still take septage, we had to do something, so. For $14 at the hardware store and some good old Yankee ingenuity, and it's working, and, we're taking septage again, so.
well done on that.
Thank
It's
you.
good to have somebody so resourceful.
Well, I mean, in my eyes, it's not an alternative to, not take it right now. I mean, is not overall can change.
The money we'd lose by not taking septage, I'm sure is more.
We
important.
did lose, in the 2 days that we did not take septage. We lost about 140,000 gallons of
Oh.
septage that went other places. 70,000 gallons a day from P&P went other places.
We don't want them ever going somewhere else because they might decide they like those other.
Well, the problem was everybody in their world is overrun with septage right now, so it is hard to find a place for it to go, including Montpelier. I mean, they are exceeding their maximum capacity every day now. And they designed that plant to take maximum septage, and they're hitting that every day. And they're hitting it.
That because a lot of people go, or a lot of
Yeah.
pumpers go to them.
Yeah. They're hitting it because of it's, you know, by 2 o'clock in the afternoon, they're full. And they run, their septage receiving runs 24 hours a day. And they close from 2 o'clock until 7 o'clock the next morning. Then they reassess how much they can take the next day. And a lot of times, some days they stay from 7 to 10 and then they close.
Wow.
You know, the trucks are lined up waiting to come and then they're overloaded again. It's like,
The nearest one to Montpelier other than us, is there anybody east of them or are they?
Randolph has a small receiving. They had just a processing plant there for septage across from the Randolph Treatment Center. But that is privately owned and I don't know how much extra septage they're taking. Milton takes a fair amount, but east is, it drops off. It goes south more than east.
Yeah, I was just curious because, you know, from time to time, the state, well, just the other meeting, the state was talking to us about the amount of septage. I mean, I keep going, if we're such a vital service that the state can't do without, throw some more money our way.
We have had in-depth conversations over the last couple of weeks with Hoyle Tanner. And they seem to think that we can put some pressure on the state. There may be some money there if
Well, that would be
if
nice.
but I'm not, I don't want to speak ahead of it, but that was.
Count your chickens before they're hatched.
Yeah, I mean,
Don't count your turds before they.
I will tell you, the 3 days that we did not take septage last week, my life was much easier and the plant's life was much easier. I am not opposed to not ever taking septage. But I thought about it a lot over the weekend while it was my weekend to work, and the septage receiving is, if the plant is upgraded and we have spent a fair amount of money on our press already. That is pretty much, if we stay the same size, I don't think our press needs to be, the only thing that we need to upgrade there is the polymer system and the conveyor system. They're just so old and they're, you know, they're running this. But those are things I think we could do as we make the money. I feel if we've got the basic, the press is there, it's good. We have the tanks, they're good. It's just the septage receiving unit that would, and I've really talked with Hoyle Tanner about cutting way back on our upgrade. We have gone over to the bare bones on what we really need. I think about $1.5 million. The bar screen rack that I asked for ahead of the pump. I think my $400 fix, which we're using now, is adequate. And I mean, it's not the greatest, but it's doing the job. It's protecting the pumps. We've had nothing get by it even during the flood last year. We were able to maintain the level and get it back down below the bar rack. So that no debris or anything got through and into the big pump. So I think I'm working with Kirsten on trimming all any extra things that we can cut out of that and trying to get this back down to a manageable. Cause the 22 million that they were talking about last time, to me is
It would be voted down.
is not doable. There's something that's gotta give. And I really think we can still take septage, still do some things some things may have to be put on the back burner. But I think we can make this a manageable upgrade that is currently is not.
Hmm.
Was Kirsten more receptive? Maybe you didn't ask her this specifically, but was Kirsten more receptive to a proposal that included like do nothing, do some things, do it all than John was? Like I was pretty ticked off, to be frank, when he was like, well, we've already done this. We
So-
can't go back.
So Kirsten will do what we want. That's,
Which they should for the amount of money we're paying them.
but she wants to do, the do nothing approach is not an option.
No, I don't disagree with that at all, but
I
I
can
think
tell you right now, if you wanna do nothing,
you're out.
Be that
we're,
much.
well, we're done. Because that plant will be down in, it will be down within 6 months. I just can't keep it running the way it is.
I'm not suggesting that, but I do think putting the different alternatives is always helpful. And I was a little,
But I knew Kirsten would, I haven't been able to officially set, cause we've been doing some other things, but we need to sit down and they're gonna rework a different proposal. Cause I told her that this isn't gonna fly. We can't do it at the rate we're doing. I said, some things are gonna have to be staged in. And I really think since septage creates a revenue, that's the one you pay as you go.
Mhm.
You use the revenue to do the upgrades when you can. But I think that, my priority, the influent pumps are a must. We need influent pumps. After that, the grit screen in the headworks area, that is a definite. It leaks, it's had issues, it needs to be upgraded. The aeration tanks, we're going through right now. The only thing in the aeration tanks in the upgrade that needs to be done is the larger blowers. The diffusers and stuff, I'm already in I'm looking at how much the diffusers are. They're about $12 a piece. There's about 200 of them in each tank. We'll change those right now and have that in the one tank that's down and have those all ready to go. And we can use them with the old blowers until the upgrade comes and we get the new ones. But there are things like that I think we can do. And then the other big part to this is the forced main setup for flood prevention for the discharge to the river. The biggest challenge there is in a flood event, the river comes back into the plant. So we need to create a forced main that will go work to take the effluent out to the river.
So using that same line, you're just,
Basically, it's the same line. What happens is that they call it a duckbill, which as water flows backwards, it will close. And at that point, there would be a pump station on the outside of the building that would then take the effluent and pump it in past the duckbill into that line, forcing it out and discharging it into the river at its current location.
but it's kind of push against the river water or the
Yeah,
rising.
but they have pumps that are pretty, Yeah.
Substantial.
well, they're designed for that type of use.
Okay,
something like that, that's flood prevention. Is that something that we could section off from the study and ask, like, I know at one point, I think like ARPA money was allowed to be used for
Well.
facilities upgrades.
Right now, we're blended to
We-
fix the flood damage.
Yeah,
We have.
the ARPA money is pretty much gone, my understanding.
Well, when FEMA hit
When,
FEMA,
when? When?
Pay us back.
Thank you, David.
Be positive.
Then we'll have the money in the account again,
Yeah.
but we can't, we do not know when it'll be paid back.
Right, and we can't bank on that, but is that something that
Like
like
we
we
did.
could? Well, yes, I guess.
I
so
mean,
too,
we
but
can-
for the
I can
upgrade, we
ask them.
couldn't, but is that something that we could put a
I
proposal?
mean, she didn't peel that section off when, the pump station part
Mhm.
was peeled off, for flood mediation, so I'm not sure.
Mhm.
Um, but,
That's something that should be a high priority. I mean, all we need is, we're one flood away from
Yeah.
a,
Yeah,
Catastrophe.
right?
and especially since, I mean, technically right now, we have that 10 horsepower pump, but I mean, if you're not there to switch it on and make sure it's dead in the water.
literally.
Yeah,
Right, okay. Well, that's good that working through that, figure.
yeah. So I mean, right now, my priority with Kirsten has been, getting we have the bids in for our, and if influent pump that we're looking at, and I had about 8 phone calls with her today, talking them over and, trying to pick the right one for the job there.
And that's 3 pumps?
It's going to be 3 pumps, but I mean, right now, we technically only have a used pump in there. The other one will maybe work. I really wouldn't want to try it in a flood event. So we are looking to put one brand new one in that is sized right for the upgrade. And then we can match it with 2 others that will work.
And the one that's working will return to Phil?
No, Phil told us we could have it. I don't really know where I'll put it, but I'm
On
not
the
gonna-
shelf.
On the shelf.
Yeah, I'm not gonna throw it away. That's, I tell you what, that,
But
if
put it
we
in the box
haven't.
labeled new.
Yeah.
We'll put it up for bid.
That pump has earned every penny of that it, I
It's
mean,
free.
it cost us like $5,000 to put it in.
Wow.
I mean, the pump was free.
Yeah.
It does whatever we ask it to do. And so, I've been really happy with it. Unfortunately, we looked at one of the bids that we got is for that type of pump. And Kirsten is shying me away from that because, it's not a submersible pump. She feels that that dry pit should have a submersible pump in it. And that's one reason I've been doing a little more research with the other 2, because the other 2 pumps are submersibles. I have a real problem with one particular pump because parts are a problem for that company. They're come from Sweden. They're well made, don't get me wrong. But it's we have mixers in some of our tanks, which are basically, an outboard motor, electric outboard motor that just mix the tanks. And the last one that we had to replace, we've replaced 2 since I've been there. One, it was supposed to be, 10 weeks, and it was 16. And the second one, it was 16, and it was pretty close to 4 months.
Right.
Getting it. And when we put in a new influent pump, I'm not looking to wait that long because nothing really happened, you know? If you have one down and you need 2, well, you're kind of screwed. And if you're waiting 3 months or 4 months for parts, and the other one's down, and now you've got 2 out of the 3 down, then you're in real trouble. So I have a real issue there. They've given me a letter of intent that all of the parts they designed for are off the shelf parts that they can get.
Where's the shelf?
Mississippi, they swear to God that they have, anything that they have on the pump that they designed for us is on the shelf in Mississippi, and I'm like, so you're gonna send me the one-off pump that the only part is on the shelf in this? No, but I just have real issues with pigeonholing myself into a pump that you can't get parts of.
And that
I appreciate
pump
it.
is the one that Kristen would like to see you get, or that's?
It's basically, it's a submersible pump, and like I said, it is the Cadillac of the pumps out there on the market. The design is good. People have them in a lot of pump stations. They also have them in a lot of, Woodstock has them in their municipal plant, like we're putting them in. I've called and talked to them about them. You know, they've been happy with them. They do say that sometimes parts can be an issue. That being said, they're like, we haven't had to buy many parts for it, but so, I'm trying to make sure I mean, it's not my money, but it is your money, and I'm trying to make the right decision, you know. The 1972 ones have lasted you, but you know, they're done.
It's time. I have two questions. First question, do engineers get kickbacks the way like doctors get kickbacks for writing prescriptions? Hey.
I'm gonna take that question,
What?
but
I
I
want to go
can,
to jail, doctors do that. There's lots of laws against that.
About incentives?
Yeah, that was all made illegal years ago.
Okay,
Sorry, I have to take annual
No,
training on this.
I'm glad that you're straightening me out. So no, the engineers don't.
what I will say is engineers sometimes like to work with certain companies. They become familiar with the company
I'm all good with that.
and stuff. Um. I like to call operators and ask them, because they're gonna give me an honest answer.
Yeah.
If something doesn't work for an operator, they're gonna tell you. And so that's where I go. I'm like, give me references of people I can call that have these in place, so I can call and get a good reference of what the day-to-day ins and out problems with the thing is.
Okay.
Because if people call me, like our water meters, people are calling me now and asking, hey, we're thinking on putting in center. And I give them my honest opinion of what they are.
Mhm. And my second thing is, you can tell John that, after our meeting, I went home and I looked at our septic pumping bill and there was no discount line for it going in town to a septic receiving.
Oh, there isn't.
He said that. That's how we were gonna pitch it to the town, is people would save money on their septic pumping. If there's a receiving plant in town, you get a discount.
No,
Those are
he
cheap.
said that we could put a contract out so that if we don't have that in place.
No, you don't. Nobody does. I called and I asked.
Montpelier, I'm pretty sure if you get your septic tank or pump station cleaned in Montpelier and they have a contract to dispose of it at the plant, it is done at a set rate.
Well, the way he explained it, it sounded like we could pitch to the townspeople that why we needed this 22 million was they would get a discount if they pumped in
If-
town. And I called the people that pump our tank who wish to remain anonymous, and they said that there is not a town that they know of that does that in the state of Vermont. They said at one point it happened in a couple of different towns, but it no longer happens.
Well, I was told that it was happening
Yeah.
in Montpelier, and it's one of the ways that they were able to sell the upgrade of their plant to the town-wide infrastructure. And, you know, I don't know how that would work, but you know, it was one of the things that you can do. I mean, you can set a contract to, as long as you have, you know, if this is coming from in the town
Yeah.
and being brought to you, it's at a different rate, or the hauler charges a different rate for the septic.
well, the local hauler is not aware of that happening.
Well.
or not, So.
It was not a,
Thought that
that was not done
interesting.
with the local hauler.
Yeah. I just thought that was an interesting piece
Yeah.
of information, because I was like, I'm pretty sure I've never gotten a discount for that.
So that's where we are with the upgrade. We're working, I'm working feverishly to try to make it manageable.
David?
Yeah,
Art
Art had a
has-
question, I think.
Yeah, I was just gonna point out, like, I can't figure out how the math on that is ever gonna work. That a small discount on my septic tank pumping is gonna somehow offset, like, I don't know, $500 a year or $200 a year. Just like, I don't think that dog will hunt. But putting that aside, I think, Steve, that you're on the right track, which is between 0 and 22 million is probably the right tipping point. So I think that's what we ought to be pursuing. It's still my view, based on the history of other financing for the water sewer system. It's my gut instinct that it's unlikely that the voters as a whole are going to be willing to contribute funding towards the upgrade of the wastewater treatment plant. But of course, that shouldn't dissuade us from asking.
Mm-mm.
No, and I personally would like to keep it. I think for what we need to do, keep it under $15 million is my goal. I'm gonna cut what we have to cut. And know where we can cut things, and survive without having to incur, a bunch of problems. And like I said, we can limp along with our septage the way we are. And that whole section might be a pay-as-we-go product.
That's 15.
Because
Yeah.
the press, we've spent the money on the channels, we've spent the money on the flocculator and the control panel. They haven't even been installed yet, those two parts, but, so we have the dewatering part pretty well under control. And, as we make some money, then we pay for other parts.
Okay, makes sense.
Is my feeling, and that, it's totally up to you guys, but,
Well, I would think that if you have reoccurring
Money here.
breakdowns and stuff, you
Principal,
start
no interest.
spending more money, then maybe it makes economically,
Per
then it
user.
makes sense to make those upgrades. That's like the knee system, but
right.
yeah, it's such a large number.
Just
and-
for-
But I can also assure you that, preventative maintenance is at the utmost of anything that we're doing at the plant now. And that goes so that in 20 years from now, when Brad is sitting here and telling you guys, he's gonna be able to say, look, we don't need all that because we took care of it a little better.
I guess the main thing is when something's way beyond its useful life, then yeah,
Yeah.
you have to, but other than that.
And we appreciate that, like,
Yeah.
we challenge you a little, but we appreciate that you're doing it the way, I appreciate that you're doing it the way you're doing it. But
So I have one, we do need to wrap it up, but I have one, your 30-second response to Zinner software set up so that we can look at our own meters online.
Yeah, I've got to get with him and I just haven't had the chance to do it. He's supposed to have that all set up for us.
Great.
But I have to get back with him and I do
Okay.
apologize.
No, it's okay.
There's been, last week it was the press and some other issues, but we take them as they come, but that is in the back of my head.
On our wish list. Okay, good. So items for next,
your homework,
yeah, my homework with Steve, and we'll have that in place. What about Tilden Avenue, Cochrane Road, Bridge Street, whatever, everything is gonna get a water line replacement?
We meet with Tyler.
We're supposed to have, I think he's setting a date for the 14th
Yeah.
of July, public meeting. And we're gonna start to get, easement signed then, hopefully. 'Cause that's the next point, have a public outreach meeting. And then, Tyler and I will be there. I think he said the 14th was what he was looking at.
As Josh,
Mhm.
Yeah, so we'll have a public meeting, anybody can come, and we're hoping to get a lot of the easements at that time signed. And working on it, so it's in the, we're pushing forward with that program.
but we don't need to have that on the agenda.
We should maybe talk about how we're advertising that and encouraging people to come at the next
Yeah,
meeting.
it is on the 14th. There's a,
So we just want to have an update on the water line replacements for next meeting.
I'm sure some things will crop up in the next 2
Yeah,
weeks.
right.
Hopefully not applied.
Superintendent's report as usual, and
It was long this time on it, but.
Hoyt Tanner, are we gonna have any responses?
At some point, we should have by the next meeting, we should have, have a choice of, influent pump
Okay,
made.
great.
It was too soon to get it for this one, but we're close.
All right, so Hoyt Tanner upgrade. All right, good.
Kind of go here or there and. But
Now it's a big number.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not trying to cut anyone off, but I'll make a motion to adjourn, so these,
Have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, further discussion? Calling for a vote to adjourn?
Jay, aye.
Karen, I.
David, I.
Bart, aye.
Morgan, I motion adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, public.